First question is from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead.
Hey Dave, first just wanted to check in on AJ Pollock. I noticed he was out of the lineup again tonight. I know in the past he was dealing with some groin issues. Is everything okay with him, and should we expect to see him back soon?
So AJ had a little kind of, I don't know if it was about with food poisoning or a little 24-hour stomach bug. Was down yesterday trying to rehydrate. Body obviously wasn't in a good place, unavailable. And today he's back, trying to get his strength back. So we just felt that the best course of action was to let him get his strength back, break a sweat, be ready to come in and take an at bat or play defense tonight and be in the lineup tomorrow.
Great. Thanks, Dave, on that update. Yep. And then tonight you guys are going against Jeff Hoffman, a pitcher that you do have a good amount of familiarity with. How do you hope to use that to your advantage?
I think any history, I think, is a good thing for the hitters, can also benefit the pitcher. We haven't seen him in a couple years, but he's going to go out there, throw strikes. And I think if we can stay within the strike zone and stress them, we'll be fine. But again, we haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know how much the pitch mix will be different and how he's attacking our guys. But certainly just guys have seen him before. The delivery, the release point, all that stuff is beneficial.
And, of course, coming off of these last two games, things offensively, as you kind of mentioned yesterday, a bit of a lull. But what is it just knowing that with each new game you always have a top-tier starting pitcher to kind of just set the tone?
It's great. It's a great feeling. I think I believe you win championships with starting pitching, and we have very good starting pitching. So that's certainly a positive with our ball club up to this point. And with that, you just know you're going to be in every game. And so now it puts the onus on the offense to go out there and get some timely hits, get base runners and drive in runs. So, but having Walker take the mound tonight is certainly a good thing for us.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question is from Dave Vassay. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, over the weekend, you alluded that you may do something different with your rotation to start the road trip. Do you have any more clarity on that?
You know, I do know that we'll get through the Bauer part of the rotation after Clayton, so the Thursday. And I think, you know, if we need to drop somebody in on Friday or over the weekend, we can do that. We haven't cemented that, Dave. So right now it's kind of, we've got guys with the recovering from COVID with vaccine shots and obviously pen usage. And we got to let these games play out here, these next two games, and kind of see where we're at. That'll kind of help the decision.
Does David Price's injury affect what you guys were planning? How does it make it more difficult to execute with whatever you were thinking?
Yeah, it does, because I think that with David the other day, we were hoping to get a little bit more length out of him and potentially build him up so we could drop him in. So that's kind of not going to happen. So we've just got to kind of read and react.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Next question is from Juan Toribio. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Will Smith, his framing numbers are definitely a lot better than they were last year, at least to this point of the season. Have you kind of noticed just an improvement on that side for him?
I have. Will's worked really hard with Ryan Sienko in our system, with Bob and Danny Lehman here. He's worked really hard, and he's just, for me as a young player, always willing to try to get better. That's a mark of a champion, and I commend him for that. And it's nice that he's seeing the benefits or the results so early, and I certainly see it every night. And now you have two guys that are elite receivers, and just makes our staff much better.
With Bellinger, it seems like he's taking BP a little bit more frequently. Is he kind of going in the right direction?
Yeah, he is. So Cody taking BP on the field, and when we leave on Wednesday, he's going to head to Arizona and go to the alt side, and then he'll continue to rehab and put him in a position to see some live pitching. So once that fracture heals, coinciding with the live at bats. Hopefully we can hit the ground running when he's healed. So he's training and he's doing great, training in the right way.
So the pain is kind of subsiding for him a little bit.
It is subsiding, and he kind of did 40% body weight running yesterday and came out of that, as I understand, pretty good. So he's keeping his arm moving around. So each day it's been getting better.
And with Joe Kelly, would he be a possibility at some point during the road trip?
Well, Joe's going to pitch tomorrow. So yeah, certainly he's a possibility. Depending on how he comes out of that, yeah, it's a possibility.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question's from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Dave, so Joe's pitching in Arizona at the All-Site?
Yes.
Has he been pitching regularly there over the last
He has. He's been pitching regularly. I think he's probably had 4 outings. And so, yeah, so he's going to throw tomorrow, and we'll see how he comes out of it. And we'll evaluate then.
And then with Cody, is there a goal or time you would like to see him back, or is it still indefinite?
No, I don't think so. I just think that the healing is most important with the fracture. And so what we can do is keep him as active as possible. And when that is, then he'll be ready.
And you mentioned David Price as a possibility maybe to build him up before the injury. Is that a possibility for Jimmy Nelson or Mitch White? Or Dan Santana, I guess? Dan Santana?
Yeah, I think I don't see it as much with Jimmy right now. I think 2 innings with what he gave us against the Padres that last game is probably where we see him. Dennis, I could potentially see the 2 or 3 inning piece. And I think with Mitch, it's more of a 2 inning, ideally.
And you mentioned the vaccine shots. Have you guys been shorthanded in any way over the last few games? Are you shorthanded today? How's that sort of been?
Yeah, so there might be a couple moves because some guys got some shots and guys respond differently. So they got some shots after the game, and I just don't know. I'm not as versed with the timing of some of these shots with players. So, yeah, just to kind of depending on how they feel, then we've got guys that are here to potentially backfill. So that's part of it, and that every team goes through that.
And the game last night, you mean?
Correct.
Okay. And then I'm not sure if you saw, but earlier today, Major League Baseball announced that they're going to experiment with home run derbies, settling ties in the Pioneer League, and it's actually an idea that Justin Turner brought up last year. Did you see that, and do you have an opinion on that?
I'm not a fan of it. I get the fan interest to kind of finish a game with a derby. I mean, if it is what it is, if that's the rule, but I kind of like baseball determine the outcome of a game. And
just this rule with the runner at second base, obviously you've had some two extra inning games the last 2 days. Has your opinion on that changed at all over the course of the last, I guess, year at this point?
Yeah, I wish we didn't have it the last 2 games, but I'm okay with it. It still makes sense. I get it.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Next question's from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, down in Atlanta on Sunday, Dansby Swanson burned some sage and walked around the field to break them out of their slump, and it actually worked. Have you considered anything like this to get your team out of its slump?
I have not. I think we'll break out of the slump, if that's what we're calling it, tonight, because Walker's going to pitch well and we're going to score more than they do. But, yeah, kudos to Dansby, outside the box thinking.
When you were playing, did you ever have a manager do something like that, pull the lineup out of a hat, that kind of stuff?
No. I played on some good teams, but no, and some teams that struggled like all teams do. But we never got to that point. I never saw myself hitting fourth in a lineup.
Slicing the numbers up some. Your performance offensively in the 7 games against Colorado and then the 16 games against everybody else, there's a massive difference in the offensive numbers. Mm-hmm. Not to cast any aspersions on Colorado, but did maybe those games overinflate our expectations a little bit?
I think that you and I have this conversation a lot annually. And I think at the end of the day, at the end of the year, I think our numbers kind of are where we all think they should have been. And I think that falls in the same category as this year. So San Diego pitched us well. Maley pitched well against us. So I just think that right now we were in the fun. But I think ultimately after 162, we'll be at the top as far as on the offensive production side of things.
Thanks, Dave.
You got it, Bill.
I got time for one more. Go ahead, DG.
Dave, do you know if the recent vaccinations put you guys over the 85% threshold?
I do know we're not there yet. I don't think the recent ones, I think we're pretty close, and we're in the 80% tile. I don't know if it's 85%. I know I'm fully vaccinated. So we're trying to get there, DG. We're just not quite there yet. And I don't think this one will, maybe in a little over a week we'll be there, hopefully.
You ever back cleanup in your life?
Once in AA, I did. And it was, I got to question my manager.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.